A man raised his gun and aimed at a wild wolf, but suddenly felt something was wrong. When he readjusted the scope, he indeed spotted a signal jammer not far away. He quickly scanned his surroundings, only to find that similar signal jammers had been installed in every direction around the farm. This immediately alerted Nick, a retired Special Forces soldier, that something terrible was about to happen. Before he could react, 4 armed vehicles came charging toward his house in a brazen manner. These men belonged to the local mercenary group notorious for their ruthless killings. Nick quickly fired a warning shot, shouting for his wife and daughter inside to hide, then sprinted back toward the house. But by then the armed men had already reached the doorstep and were the first to raise their guns and attack him. Nick had no choice but to find cover and immediately return fire. Hearing the gunshots, his wife and daughter grabbed their phones to call the police, but the phones had no signal at all. Little did the armed men know, they were up against someone they shouldn't have messed with. Seeing the enemy's overwhelming numbers, Nick quickly ducked into the house with his gun, telling his wife and daughter to hide on the second floor. He swiftly reloaded his ammunition. When the armed men rushed forward, he threw open the door and instantly shot one enemy dead. The others responded by unleashing a fierce volley of gunfire at the house. Seeing no movement from inside, the leader immediately ordered his men to surround the house, but they had severely underestimated Nick, a former commando. Just as an enemy picked up an axe to force the door open, they realized the door wasn't even locked. In the next moment, Nick raised his hand and fired a shot, then quickly shifted positions. He went to the kitchen and smashed bowls on the floor, so that when the enemies rushed in, he could easily pinpoint their locations from the sound. When the enemies burst in, they focused all their attention on searching every corner of the house, completely ignoring the shards of porcelain on the ground. As soon as an enemy stepped on the shards, Nick fired a decisive shot through the door. Meanwhile, his wife and daughter hiding in a cabinet trembled with fear. Just as an enemy was about to open the cabinet door, the woman resolutely pulled the trigger. Their leader seemed to realize that this opponent was out of the ordinary, so he quickly ordered his men to move in for support. But they still grossly underestimated Nick's individual combat skills. As soon as one enemy reached the stairway, Nick instantly had a gun to his head. The armed men then launched a full-scale assault, spraying bullets at Nick as he fled to the second floor. However, due to Nick's advantageous position, the armed men dared not act recklessly and sent one man forward to scout. No sooner had the scout poked his head up than Nick, lying in wait on the second floor, shot him in the head. Taking advantage of the gap while Nick reloaded, the armed men began storming the second floor. Drawing on years of combat experience, Nick picked off the advancing men one by one, taking down many enemies in just a few rounds. One soldier was so scared he froze in place, but under the leader's urgent orders, he had no choice but to take a desperate risk. In the next second, Nick had a gun to his head.